Hello and welcome to Ranked Ramble. In this episode, I want to discuss, kind of revisit an older topic, and it's to do with EDH and LGSs. Now, this is not going to be a truly negative video. For any of you who remember, probably say in the third quarter of 2023, the LGS store I've been going to for the past 2 years. 2 years, yeah? 2 years sadly closed its doors. Ultimately, there's a lot of stuff going on about money that was owed from COVID and never fully recovering, but I won't fully go into what happened there. And since then, I've been looking for a replacement LGS. Now, I live pretty much out in the sticks here in the UK, and we don't have as insane amount of LGSs in the area that I live in, because I'm not in a city. I'm not completely out in the woods. I'm about 15 minutes. I can drive 15 minutes in any direction. I can find a small town to a small city. But the problem is, ironically, the closest cities now don't have LGSs. And so I went further afield. I went to one that was 25-30 minutes away from where I am. About a 20-mile drive there and 20 miles back. Long but way, but a few of the people I knew from the existing store have been to the store before, so I took them on that word for it. And here's the problem I have with what happened. This new store, very fervent, lovely people there, but the store was imagine a long straight corridor, and when you put the play tables in there, you couldn't just browse the products that they had for sale or anything while people are playing, because literally you're breathing in, crabs scuttling along the side of the wall. Barely enough room to move down to get to a table. So you obviously can't peruse what they've got on sale. They have a back room that on a Friday was devoted to Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, which made me laugh because I'll explain later why. But that's it. So they've got these two rooms, large room for Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and the thin room for Magic and Pokemon people who want to play casually. And they only offer EDH on a Friday. And this led to a bit of an issue, because it happened to myself twice, and one of my friends who has not come back to the store since this happened, and I can understand why. He lives a little bit further afield than me. So for him it was about a 45-minute drive.
Reload!
He got there as early as he could, but at this point everyone had already started their Commander games. So there's nowhere for him to casually sit. There's no way for him to peruse the items on sale, trade binders or anything, because there's nowhere to sit. And the other room is being used by another card game for a competitive tournament. They're very welcoming, they're totally happy to give up a table if there's overflow, and they're really, really cool with people being in there and even being probably too loud in our defense. They're very understanding, the Yu-Gi-Oh players. But he gets there, he's done a 45-minute drive, and the same thing happened to me. I had a 20-minute, 30-minute drive, got there. They've already started their games, 4 or 5 turns in, and they've got all full pods. So what do we do? Well, we've got to wait for the end of a Commander game, which anyone who knows EDH and Commander, that could be anywhere from 45 to 2 hours. And even if that game finishes, we've got to wait for players, because we can't have a Commander player game with only one. Now what happened in this case with my friend and me is we, on 2 separate occasions, is we both ended up leaving without even playing a game. And what I want to stress from this is, I think that that's not it's a bad thing obviously, but it's not inherently an issue with EDH. I think that might be more on the store's front, because I was thinking about how it used to go down on the old LGS, which was a bigger venue, more room, So if you didn't have a game, they had hot food and drinks you could order, which obviously I understand not every LGS can have, so scraping that off the table, I thought about what the other thing was. Well, there was room to peruse their items, check out their trade binders, see what the store owner had for trade. Again, that's a 50-50 because obviously I think there could be better layouts. Like, one thing I thought of after this happened to me was if you were to swap, if you swapped the Yu-Gi-Oh players and the Magic players and the Pokemon players into the big room and then put the tables the other way, you could have enough room for people to move around. Now, I wouldn't want to mess around the Yu-Gi-Oh players because they were very nice, and I understand why, because they're paying like 4 times, 5 times as much as the Magic players to play, so they should have, from a business perspective, the bigger and better venue. But here's the clincher, and I don't know if every LGS store has these, but it was definitely a helper in the old store that we had. We had basically an ambassador. Sadly, when the store closed, he went to a different store. But what this gentleman would do, and I don't want to give any names, is he was in charge of trades. He would play in the modern event, and he would, when people came in, even if he was in a pot of 4, he would step out, introduce himself, get their names, show some of the people around, and help them find a spot or a place. And if there wasn't a spot or a place, he would give up his spot if the game was early. Or what he would do is say, hey, we're going to finish quickly and then we can let you in and I'll step out. Now obviously as an employee of the store that makes sense because obviously he works there and it's a good example. This newer store didn't have that. They have an employee who plays, but he literally just lodges himself in the corner of the room with the people he wants to play with and doesn't interact. And you know, that's his preference. Maybe he doesn't have like the energy to do it like this other gentleman did. And obviously that's not on him as the employee of the store. I think that's more of an owner/thing emphasis, maybe. It's hard to say. This is truly a ramble here. But that's what I wanted to also address is, well, do EDH nights at an LGS need more structure? Now, before anyone panics, I don't think this is a call out that should happen and 100% and rules and blah and da. No. I just want to express how I think we should potentially look at these, particularly for stores where there is no alternatives. If your LGS just runs Commander on the night, and you all have a set pot of 4 that you play with, like your 2 mates and the 1 guy you see every week there, well then what are you going to do when a 5th player shows up? You know, I talked about it before in my previous videos. I think that Commander, particularly casual Commander nights, have a real tendency to segregate the LGS. Not intentionally, obviously, but you do gravitate towards who you like to play with, and I'm quite guilty of it myself. If you've played in the store a lot, you know that X and Y are the really power players who came over from Legacy and run their Legacy cards and their Vintage cards because they want to play with their powerful cards. A and B are the newcomers who just really have precons and they have one deck, and they're slowly upgrading it. So you find your place in the group and you want to slide in and play with them there. You're like, okay, I don't want to get ruffle stomped every game by the really powerful players, but I don't want to ruffle stomp the newcomers. These guys are more my speed. These are the 4 or 5 people I'll play with every week. And I suppose now, stepping out of the comfort zone of having that in my LGS and seeing it in other LGSs, it's worrying for me. So I thought to myself, do you think the LGSs would benefit from more structure in Commander? So what I thought was, if we just do the little thought experiment of a ramble here, if you were to say it's a standard Friday Night Magic, you know exactly what time it's starting, so you know what time to get there. So you can go from there. Now, if you miss that, you can come into the second round maybe if they're more understanding, let you in. They've got to work their tournament things. Some are more strict. But if it's just a casual Friday night, they will let you in. But you also know that there's a set time. So for example, let's say Friday Night Magic starts at 7. I stumble in there at 7:15 due to a traffic accident on the road that blocked me. I know that I've just got to hang around for 30 minutes and then I can slot in to play some games. Now, obviously this is a huge issue with EDH because, I mean, you've seen on the content I create on the channel where I play the Blitz games. Commander players really don't like that. They want no stress, no time, just play as long as they want, just do everything. You know, what's the old adage is, no, we don't want anyone to change the board state before turn 8. Also, no infinite combos, no instant wins, no da-da-da. That's just speaking from experience I've had for some of the games in the past. But at the same time as well, this would then potentially look at the thing. So you would get multiple games guaranteed because you would get to play. Also, you could then look at it would be good for the store. Like I remember the LGS I used to go to many moons ago when I started Magic, and I just literally had played Kitchen Top with a bunch of friends, and they taught me how to play Modern, and I built a budget mono red burn deck, Boros burn, sorry, and took it to the LGS. I knew 2 people at the LGS and I didn't play them all night. By the end of the night, I had made like 4 or 5 other people that I'd spoken to, broke the ice with, had a laugh with, and played with many times on. In fact, one of them I still play with continuously online. That's something that obviously doesn't happen with a casual EDH setting. And as a counterbalance though, that's something that I know a lot of players might not enjoy or might not want. Like, you might just be going to play with your 4 friends and not want to engage with another group. But then, I suppose you have to weigh that with the fact that if you are using the store as a place to play, should you accommodate other people in the store? Do the needs of new players and store owners trump your need as a player? That's ultimately what I'm getting at is, should casual EDH nights have more structure? Should we have set rounds of like an hour and a half? And then should we have that after every game, every pod is shuffled and randomly drawn so other people have to play other people? Again, that does bring up its own problems though, because we could have a game where someone has the Sweet Mary Miracle 7 and wins the game on turn 4, you know, plays Omnixilus and just happens to have all be one in their opening hand, turn 4-5, boom, they've won the game. Then conversely, that does leave you with dead time, because obviously you've got to wait now an hour for the next one. But I would respond to that by saying, that is true, that happens sometimes in the Modern. I used to die to burn in 15 minutes and then just casually play another game with them for a laugh and get some practice in. So we could supposedly counter that with that, but then would people be as interested in Commander if you were genuinely being shuffled? If you didn't know the groups, if you didn't know the decks? It is a truly interesting topic that I wanted to broach here. And that is, do you think we need more structure in EDH casual nights at LGSs? Or what do your stores do? because I feel that EDH does have it has the problem of not being great at attracting new players. What I mean by that is, it is one of the most complex formats with tons of interactions and keywords, abilities, and cards that no one's ever going to know. I think the best example I would compare it to is, it's kind of like what happened to me after I missed the Commander game. I couldn't get into it. So I was originally just for like 10 minutes sitting down in the Yu-Gi-Oh area, and they were totally chill, understanding. They even like invited me to have a laugh with them, and I was like looking at their cards. I was like, no man, there's too much here. I can't understand it. It's way too complicated. I think that must be what like an LGS player coming into it would feel like. So yeah. But ultimately, I don't think we can add structure to Commander Nights. The nature of EDH in general is casual, plodding along, doing it at your own pace, with your own friends. Which is counterintuitive, really, to how I think the long play goes for LGS stores. In its nature, Commander was made by a group of friends that all played together after doing their judge events. So it was literally a group of people that all played together and then eventually pulled in other players through that way. Now, Commander is great at attracting relatively new players to the game, I think, who have a basic understanding. So they might have played on Arena, thought that was cool, looked on YouTube, looked at the Command Zone and gone, oh, that's cool, I can pick, you know. I used to love Twilight, so I can use my Vampire Tribal, or I used to love the Little Mermaid, so I'll make Merfolk and Fishies. That's just funny examples, I'm not speaking from experience there. But then, if they then take those decks they've made and try to go to an LGS store, it depends on the store, I think. Because if you go to a store and everyone's already playing a game and you're expected to then sit there and wait for an hour and a half to maybe get another game if more people are not coming, I feel that's a bit unfair. Now the counter to that is, well, maybe you should invite your own friends and make your own pod there. And that's a fair point. But to that I would say, if like that's the goal, why am I not just meeting up my friends at my house and chilling out here? And I understand many people will think, oh yeah, that's your right, that's your action, you can totally do that for fun and do that. But I don't want to do that. I want to support the LGSs. Like some of the closest friends I've had playing Magic, I've made through going to the LGS, playing in tournaments, having a laugh. Like doing silly things, dumb interactions, learning rules I didn't even know about, and feeling yourself level up and having that guy you play against, and then you go, ooh, after a month of practice, I know when to respond to his deck, you know. I know when to break the combo, I know the better interactions. These are all things that I want to maintain and keep. But I don't see how that exists in a world where we just cater EDH in the LGS store. I think we have to run other options. So ultimately, to summarize this ranked ramble that has gone for a very long time here, I think LGSs need not necessarily structure for the EDH night. I think they need a plan for new players. Basically, like an ambassador who sees a new player come in and go, hey, you new to the store? Yeah, hi, I'm Steve. Hi Steve, I'm Alan. So what do you play? Oh, you play this or that? Oh, cool, we have people that play that or this. Oh, you're a Commander player looking for a game? That's cool. So these are all our Commander players. Look around, who needs a game? Okay, we don't have a full one going yet, but if you want, me and you can go and have a little casual like one-on-one until we get a full pod in. Or you could look at the trades or do that. Now, that's part of the LGS experience, and many people will say, yeah, you should have that for an LGS. That's true. And I think that is the thing that we would probably implement in every LGS if we could. I mean, ideally we would run two things. We'd run Commander and said format or draft or whatever you want to do with them. But I think if LGS stores are solely going to focus on Commander and only charge like a small amount to just come in and play, we are probably going to have to look at some alterations to Commander Night in the LGS. And yes, that might upset some established players, and you might have people that probably won't even want to, well, you might even have people that will even not want to do it and not even come back in. But I guess what I'm saying is, for the future of Magic, don't we have to focus on the newer players as well? Like, we have to have a good line to usher them into games in the store to keep the stores healthy. And the best way to do that, I think, is to have a more structured play for them to come in and do it. I mean, that's not stopping you just hanging out with your mates and having a casual, like, Saturday Commander night, or playing with your mates on a Tuesday somewhere else. Heck, LGS could even move Commander off Friday and run Friday as a draft night. But, you know, whatever needs to be done, what needs to be done. But let me know what you think. Do you think EDH nights need more structure in LGS? And what does your LGS do to accommodate new players? Like, if a new fresh place player walks in and buys a night to play with your friends, what does your LGS do to accommodate for them? Anyway, hope you enjoyed the ranked ramble. Please enjoy the rest of these videos here. We had some crazy matchups this week. You saw us go there. We went head to head with Grixis Vampires / Obnixilis Control. We then ran into Monogreen Devotion, still trying to live without their Answer All Khan, which I'm very happy to say we got to step on them very quickly. And finally here we ran into Green-White Tokens, which was a real delight to play against. Again, hope you enjoyed the ramble. Thank you for listening to my nonsense.